I'm still confused. How is history and artwork supposed to be fitting into one another?
Well, I guess there's any way I can explain it is through a presentation. What would you like to know?
I want to know how beauty fits into the world of artwork.
Well, I'm glad you asked about that. Art is something that has existed even before written human history. It can be used to show off interest, hobbies, something you love, and something you hate. Sometimes it can show off what you feel, whether happy or sad, and can take on many forms such as writing, music, or even movies and video games. No matter where someone looks, art is always there. However, when it comes to said art, oftentimes there are special reasons for making it. Perhaps they were really happy, or they were royally pissed off. Perhaps they really liked something or really hated it. Sometimes they made it for fun, sometimes they made it for money, or maybe they were just horny. Really horny. Well, for this presentation, we will be looking into two pieces of art that delve into a similar concept that I was curious into seeing how beauty was seen in these time periods. Typically, whenever we think of art from the Stone Age, we typically think of those cave paintings. You know, the ones depicting all sorts of hunting things and all that razzle-dazzle. You know, you probably saw those on, like, Ice Age. However, that's not the only artwork that they were known for. Believe it or not, artwork from this era also took 3D approaches, such as this statue of a woman that was found in Austria. This here statue is dubbed by historians as being called Venus of Willendorf. Now, when you think of Venus, you typically think of this famous statue. Well, these two have no relation to each other, but it helps fuel my theory that Venus is just used to describe anything that's used as beauty. And beautiful she is. This statue is really small, being only about 10 to 11 centimeters in length. For those of you Americans scared by the metric system, here's a picture of me holding a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con to give you a sense of scale. This statue has plenty of intricate detail across the body, from the curves, edges, and even lack of any censorship, which I've applied in order to prevent this video getting taken down before it's presented to the class. As for anything else there is to say on the artwork, yeah, I've really got next to nothing. The closest thing I could find for any reason as to why this artwork was found through any of the sources I wrote for this paper was that the concept of fascination of beauty was found in obesity in ancient cultures such as the Paleolithic era and even Neolithic era. I even branched out to some of my own friends who have done studies on this artwork for their own classes, and they provided information that this tiny little statue is essentially the equivalent of caveman Playboy. That really horny line was not an exaggeration. This could have possibly been a form of actual caveman porn. It's baffling to see how far humanity has gone in the last 30,000 years with this kind of stuff. However, beauty ideals do not last forever. Much like the beauty of Marilyn Monroe was replaced by the likes of Kim Kardashian, so too does Willendorf's Venus have her own beauty replacement, about 1,000 years later compared to the former half of a century. So let's talk about ancient Egypt. Before we begin, it's important to write out a disclaimer. While a lot of the stylizing of Egyptian artwork may look similar or identical to one another, it's also important to note that there are indeed differences of artworks from the Old Kingdom to the New Kingdom eras, as well as any other eras, as well as the one-time monotheistic period. Got it? Got it. Anyway, let's talk about ancient Egyptian woman. Most women of the ancient Egypt time period were depicted as much slender individuals than the art of women that came before. Most of the time they would be depicted as, say, dancers or the spouses of pharaohs. However, there is a pretty big depiction between most artworks of women and some depictions of one individual in particular. Enter in Hatshepsut. I think I got that right. She is the first Egyptian pharaoh to be female. Naturally, something like this would be seen as a great historical landmark. What a high honor to be seen as the first female ruler of a nation. So it's pretty interesting to see how the people of Egypt handle this kind of a... Excuse me. Alright, so I guess that could be something that not a lot of us were really expecting, but in a way, I guess it could be seen as them seeing her as some sort of an individual like the regular fairs, like such as King Tut, for example. Those of them that are actually male, with the signature goatee as being a major indicator for those that are of high class, such as them.